All right, well, hello and welcome to your Pilates and recovery class. So this is part of our new program, Pure Strength. So Tuesdays and Fridays are basically going to be supporting the more intense days, which are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we are going to get into some Pilates, but a lot of recovery work as well. So for the Pilates portion, you're going to want a ball and some light hand weights. And then when we get into the more yoga portion, we'll need some myofascial release balls, a blanket, and a block. So grab that equipment and meet me on the mat. Go ahead and come all the way down onto your back, and we'll start in a supine position with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. So we're just going to start with a little bit of activation and also some release through the low back. So our purpose today is going to be dissolving tension. Because sometimes when we lift really heavy weights, we go really hard in the other workouts, we tend to be really tense and tight. So we'll start with just a little pelvic tilt forward and back. So think of that too like maybe a cat cowing through the spine. So if it's helpful, you may take the hand like into a triangle, bringing the thumb and the index fingers together, and then just place that right on the front of the pelvis. Now, as you start to tilt your pelvis up, the fingers will point down as if you're rounding the low back or pulling the low back away from the floor. And then we're going to tilt the pelvis up so the fingertips are pointing more towards the ceiling, but you may feel that more as the low back broadening or flattening onto the floor. So let's keep that going a couple times. So tilt the pelvis down, arching through the low back, tilt the pelvis up, flattening or broadening through the low back. Just nice and easy, gentle movement here, forward and back. Just decompressing through the hips and through the low back as well. Just take a couple more rounds here, starting to transition from whatever you were doing today to coming onto your mat. One more here. And release. Nice job. So go ahead and release your hands down by your sides and bring your feet, if they're not already there, about hip distance apart and as close as you can get your heels comfortably towards your glutes or your tush. We're going to find that pelvic tilt upward. So if the hands were still in the pelvis, that fingers pointing up, the low back broadening across the floor, keep that as you come up for 4 counts into a bridge. So nice and slow on the way up. The point of this program is time under tension. So we're going to stay on theme, even for our Pilates class, and then lower down for a count of 4. Once your tailbone brushes the floor, come right back up nice and slow. 4, 3, 2, full extension at the top. Squeeze the glutes, lower down. 4, 3, 2. Tap the floor with the tailbone, come right back up. 4, 3, 2. Squeeze and unravel just as slow as we went up. Now continue at this pace, 4 counts up, 4 counts down with a little squeeze at the top. And try not to let your knees bow out onto the side. So we're keeping everything nice and parallel. And just focus on your breath here. It can be really helpful. One more. Now we're going to go up fast. We're going to hold for 3 counts. So lift up in 1, hold 3, squeeze 2, hold 1, lower 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up quick and hold for 3, for 2, for 1, lower 4, 3, 2. So hopefully the glutes and the hamstrings are starting to speak to you. Lift up, hold, lower with control. So feeling that back body coming online. 2 more just like that. Up quick and hold. Lower with control. 1 more just like that. Lower with that control. And release. Nice job. All right, we're going to go right into the glute med and min. So coming to laying onto one side of your body. And grab one of your light hand weights, as we're just going to use that to level up if you would like. So I have a 3-pound weight, 1, 3, or 5. I wouldn't recommend going a lot heavier than that for our purposes today, but I mean, it's your workout. If you'd like to, feel free. So come to lay on your side, bend your knees so they're kind of like a little below hip height. So we don't want to come into like a restorative posture. We're a little bit below that. Take that light hand weight. You're going to place it on the mid part of your top thigh. Keep your bottom leg exactly as it is. Keep your top leg exactly as it is. The weight is just resting there. I have my fingertips resting gently on the weight so it doesn't roll around. And we're just going to lift this bent leg lower and close. So the foot, the knee, the hip, everything is lifting in unison. So try not to let the foot drop below knee height. Everything is lifting and lowering together. So starting to feel that glute mid and min, which are the outside of the hip. These really important rotators and extenders. Nice job. Keep breathing here. So we're just going to add a leg extension. So go ahead and dorsiflex the foot so you're flexing, bringing the toes towards the shin. We're going to keep everything as is, but we're going to add on. So we lift, we extend, we rebend, and we lower. So we're going to do 8 of those. Lift, extend, rebend, and lower. Hopefully starting to feel the outside of the hip kicking on. There's 4. We got 4 more halfway. 5. 6. 7. One more here. Now the next time you extend the leg, hold it nice and straight. We're going to lower about 3 or 4 inches and then lift back up 3 or 4 inches. Keeping the leg straight. Option to remove the weight if it gets to be too much, or you can keep the weight right there. Whose side of my tush is on fire? 2 more here. All right. Hold at the top. We're going to sweep straight out in front of you. So it's like you're trying to get your foot in front of your belly button and then sweep back so the foot is in line with your hip. Slow sweep forward and a slow sweep back. Again, I'm just kind of nestling my fingers on the weight so it's not moving around. But as you can tell, the weight is really on the leg. So I'm not holding the weight with my hand. My leg is doing all of the work here. 2 more just like this. We're going to hold it to the front and we're going to pulse for 8. On the next one, so get that foot in front of the belly button, lift up, pulse 8. 7, brace through the core. 6, you got this. 5, 4, 3, 2, and bend the leg and release it. Go ahead and set your weight off to the front in front of you. Zip the arches of your feet together. So my feet are actually touching. We're coming right into some clamshells. So now we're opening the knees, but the feet stay together. Close the knees. 8. So just a clamshell. 7. No weight on the leg this time. 2 more. The next time the knees come together, keep them there. Push your hand into the floor. Come up onto your bottom forearm. Now make sure the elbow is right underneath the shoulder. If it's far out, you're kind of loading through the rotator cuff in a way that might not feel very good. So make sure the elbow is right underneath the shoulder so we're stacked. And we're going to take this into clamshell bridges. So we've got the clamshell. But as we open, we're going to lift the hips simultaneously. So we're going to go for 10 on this one. So as you open the knees, lift the hips. 10. Press to the pinky edge of the foot that's on the floor, as well as that forearm for your foundation. Keep the core really braced and really strong. All right, here's number 8. We got 2 more. Nice job. Stay with it. 9. Nice job. 10. And release. All right, take this top leg. You're going to bring it in front of your bottom leg. Extend your bottom leg long. Now, you have a couple options here. If the body is really tight, it might be helpful to keep your top arm on your bottom foot because we want to make sure the heel stays grounded on the floor. The heel is not lifting. So it might be really helpful to do that. If not, if it feels good, you can let the hand go. I like to hold it down. It just reminds me to keep the heel nice and heavy. Flex your bottom leg foot, and we're going to lift and lower just this bottom leg. So we're moving from the top leg, glute med and min, to the bottom leg, inner thigh here. So if you can, get that bottom leg all the way off the floor, all the way up to the hip, and try not to set the leg down onto the floor between your ribs. Squeezing the inner thigh on that bottom leg. All right, the next time you lift it up, hold it up. We're going to sweep it forward and back. 10. See if you can keep it up nice and high. 9. Slow and controlled. Time under tension. 8. Stay with it. 7. 6. 5. 4. Almost there. 3, 2, and release, lower down. Nice job. Okay, go ahead and take your legs nice and long. Lay all the way down onto that bottom arm. This top leg is going to bend in front of you. Let the leg come to the floor. So this is just a nice stretch. If it feels nice, you might bend your bottom arm to support the head. But what we're wanting to do here is release this glute med and min and just come into a little bit of a restorative stretch. Take a few deep breaths here to release it. Take one more deep breath here. Hopefully that hip is getting nice and recovered. And release. Nice job. Okay, we're going to switch over to the other side. So come to lay on your opposite hip. Have that right hand weight within arm's reach. Go ahead and come all the way down. Bend your knees, but keep the knees just below hip height. We're going to keep the bottom leg exactly as it is. Take that light hand weight, if you like, place it right at the middle part of the outside of the thigh, and just use your fingertips to keep it in place. We're going to keep the foot to the knee and everything in line as we keep that 90-degree bend in the knee, and we lift and lower that top leg. Nice job. Keep the core braced, and try not to let the foot drop or lift higher than the hip. Everything is in the same line. Two more, and we're going to add on that leg extension. So here's number 11 and number 12. We extend, we rebend, and we lower back down. Lift, extend, rebend, and lower. So again, we're not moving really quickly here. We're really building the tension. Find that dorsiflexion through the foot or that flex position, toes to shin, pushing through the heel. So we can really feel the outside of that hip, that glute med and min kicking in. We will do plenty of quad and hamstring work on our strength days together. So in our Pilates days, we're going to focus more on the outside of the hip and the inner thighs as well as the core. Let's go 2 more. The next time you extend that leg, hold it. Stay nice and strong. We're going to sweep it in front of that belly button. So keeping the weight there, sweep so the foot is in front of the belly button, and then slow sweep the leg back. Sweep in front of the belly button. Nice strong control here. Breathe. You got this. See if you can keep your leg at the same height the entire sweep, so it's not lowering or lifting along the way. And that weight is about mid-thigh, so just make sure the weight's not resting on the hip, but it's about halfway between the knee and the hip there. One more. We're going to hold it to the front. We've got those pulses for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, leg is shaking, and release. Nice job. Bring the legs back together. Set your weight off in front of you, and we're going right into those clamshells. Zip the arches of the feet together, and then open and close just the knees. Nice job. Stay with it. One more. Now we're going to slide that bottom arm out so we're on that forearm. Again, make sure the elbow is right underneath the shoulder. We're going to go into that clamshell, but with the hip extension. So clamshell bridges, when you're ready, up and down. Nice job. Stay with it. Two more here. One more. Nice job. Now bring this front leg, the top leg to the front. Extend your bottom leg. Now find that nice dorsiflexion, pushing through the heel, and lift and lower this bottom leg. Now again, this hand can hold and physically keep the heel down, or if it feels comfortable, you can let the hand go. Really actively engaging the inner thigh of the bottom leg. Two more. We're going to hold it at the top and then sweep it forward and back with control. Try to keep the foot at the same height the entire time. Really squeeze and lift from that inner thigh of that bottom leg. One more. And release. Nice job. Take this top leg, fold it in, come all the way down, come to that restorative release. Let's take 5 deep breaths together. Maybe it's an audible exhale, but just release the outside of the hip. All right. So we're going to actually come into a swan series. So basically a prone position, so laying on your belly. If you have that Pilates ball, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have it, don't worry. We'll do our best to work without it. But we're going to come all the way face down, and we're going to really focus on activating from the upper back all the way down in towards the glutes, maybe even a little bit in the hamstrings. So think the entire back body working together. So go ahead, take the ball in your right hand, come to lay down onto the belly. Now your head can be just hovering from the floor, or you can physically put the forehead down, but we are going to be lifting the head in just a moment. So from this prone position, really push your pelvis in towards the earth. So you feel your legs activating. Like as much as I push my pelvis in, I can already feel my knees, my kneecaps lifting from the floor. So as you push the pelvis, draw your navel up towards your spine. You can keep your gaze down, or you can gaze a little bit forward towards the fingertips. But if that cervical spinal extension of looking forward does not feel good in your body, please keep your gaze down. From there, press the pelvis. We're going to lift the legs as high as we can. Now try to keep your feet pretty close together so we're activating through the glutes and hamstrings. Lift the arms. You're going to place the ball, take the ball from the right hand into the left hand. You're going to circle the arms like a reverse snow angel all the way to your low back. You're going to take the ball into the right hand. Try not to touch the ball on the body, and then sweep and circle all the way back around to the top. All right, take it back into the left hand. Circle all the way around behind you. Try not to touch the body. Switch hands. Sweep the ball back forward. So there's 2. We're going for 8. Make sure you're breathing. Press the pelvis into the floor. Keep the height through the chest and the legs. Feel that whole back body coming online. You got this. Here's 6. We got 2 more. Stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. 7. Woo. A little bit of shoulder mobility, 2, and 8. Nice job, release. All right. Take a moment, lay down, maybe rock the hips side to side, whatever feels really helpful. So we're going to come back into these back extensions, and we're going to take the ball and basically just kind of do like a tricep extension. So place the ball, place your palms on either side of it. Same setup as the last round. So press the pelvis, lift the legs, lift the chest, bend the elbows. You're taking the ball behind the back of the head, maybe towards the neck, and then extending it forward. 8. Wrap the elbows in. 7. Can you lift your legs a little bit more? 6. Press through the pelvis. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Release. Nice job. You can set your ball off to the side. Take your arms out towards the corners of your space. So it's kind of like you're creating the shape of a Y with your arms. We're going to have that same setup. We're going to basically just make a Y shape into a W shape. So as we lift, we're going to pull the elbows in towards the ribs by bending at the elbow. So making that W shape. Extend towards your Y and lower back down. 8 of those. Lift up. Draw it in like you're rowing. Feel the shoulder blades retract or squeeze together towards the spine. Reach the arms long, lower down. There's 2. Lower it down. 3. 4. 5. Stay with us. We got 3 more. 2 more. Last one, lift everything. Hold, pull the arms in. Reach the arms long. Lower everything down. Nice job. Rock the hips. Gentle release through the hips, the low back. Take a couple of breaths here. Okay, from your belly, walk your elbows underneath of your shoulder. So if you're a yogi, you're basically setting up into Sphinx pose. But we're going to be doing Sphinx forearm planks. So a couple ways we can do this. You can leave your toes untucked so your foot is on the shoelace part of the foot. If that does not feel good for you though, feel free to tuck the toes so when you lift up, you're in a more traditional forearm plank. So maybe try both, see what feels accessible but challenging, because sometimes the toes being untucked can just add a little extra challenge to the forearm plank. So elbows are right underneath the shoulders. Make sure they're not super wide. They're literally right underneath the shoulders, hugging against your chest. Take your gaze forward, broaden through the collarbones. Now everything's gonna come from the core. So draw your navel in so you kind of feel your belly already drawing away from the earth before you press through the feet and lift up to your plank. 8. Unravel with that same amount of control. Navel to spine first. Draw it in, lift up. 7. Slow and controlled is the name of the game. 6. Feel the shoulder blades hug towards the spine as you come into Sphinx, and then pull away from the spine as you lift into your forearm plank. 5. 4. Stay with me. Last 3. 2. One more. This time when you lift up, hold your forearm plank for 10. 9. Draw that navel in. 7. 5. 4. 3. 2. Lower it down. Nice job. Release. All right, go ahead and walk the knees in. Come up onto the hands. However you'd like to transition to come onto your back. So we're going to start with a traditional Pilates 100. So if that's new to you, we're going to find a couple of variations. So if it's new to you, you might start here with just the legs in a tabletop position, knees stacked over hips, and then you'll have the arms long. You may come into variation number 2, which would be upper body off the floor, and then variation number 3 would be legs nice and long. Now, once we get into the position, you'll pump the arms. We'll inhale for 5, exhale for 5. We go for 10 rounds. So each little inhale, in 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5 reps. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5 reps. So by the end of 10 rounds, we've done 100. The arms are going to be pumping simultaneously with the breath. So let's get set up. That same position we had for our warm-up, find that pelvis tilting up so you feel your low back broaden onto the floor. Bring your knees into your chest to begin. Even if you're going to extend the legs, find that through the low back. Keep it as you extend the legs nice and long. Now from here, arms are long, head either down or up. I'll leave that up to you. We pump 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 9 more just like that. Halfway. Stay with it. Last 2 sets. Final set. Exhale and release. Hug the knees into the chest. Nice job. We're going to come right into a single leg stretch. So bring your right knee into your chest, extend your left leg long, and hover it from the floor. You're going to hug your right knee with both arms. One hand on the ankle, one hand on the knee. Hug it in for 2 pulses, and then switch. 2 pulse, switch. Keep that pelvis tilting up and that low back nice and broad or flat onto the floor by drawing the navel in towards the spine and keeping the core really engaged so we're not dumping all the work into the already hard-working low back. Stay with it. You got this. Here's 10. Bring both knees in. We're going to do a double leg stretch. So same thing, pull in for 2, extend legs and arms. Now, if the low back starts to arch, take your legs a little higher. The closer your legs extend up towards the sky rather than the floor, the more support your low back will have. Last one here. Hold everything long right into jackknives for 10. Straight arm, straight leg, 10. Now, as you lower the legs, if you feel that low back lifting, don't lower your legs any more past that point. If the neck is getting tired, take one hand behind the head. That can be really helpful. You got this. 2 more. 1 more. Lower legs, lower arms, hold your hollow hold, 10. Biceps next to ears, 8. Navel to spine, 6, 4, 3, 2, and release. Nice job. Whew. Crushed your Pilates class. Awesome job. All right, we'll transition now into a little bit of recovery. So let's change our props out. You'll need your myofascial release balls, your yoga block, and a blanket. And if you don't have myofascial release balls, tennis balls, lacrosse balls, they work great. So I'll give you just a moment to grab all of that. I'm going to grab mine. Put it on this side. Okay. All right, well, we're going to stay on theme. So welcome to your dissolving tension mini flow. So again, you're just going to need a block, 2 myofascial release balls, or tennis lacrosse balls can be a nice substitute, and a blanket or a towel. We're going to find a lot of release to the areas we tend to hold tension throughout the day, but also in any kind of workout or exercise program we might do, these areas that tend to get overworked or really tight while we're doing it. So go ahead and come to lay on your back in a supine position, maybe even with the knees bent, feet on the floor. And take a couple of deep breaths just to kind of land into the practice. Maybe it's an inhale through the nose and an audible sigh through the mouth. But feel your body softening, letting go of tension from the day. Just truly trying to embrace this aspect of dissolving tension. Now have all of your props within arm's reach because we're going to be staying on the floor the entire time. But grab your myofascial release balls, 1 in each hand, and we're going to place them in the natural curvature of the lumbar spine and just kind of right next to each other, if not maybe just an inch apart, so they're pretty close, nestled right up against the spine. So what we're wanting to find here is a release for those ropey erector muscles. So if you're not already there, go ahead and bend your knees, feet flat onto the floor, and then press the feet to lift your hips so you can slide the balls right in that natural curvature of the lumbar spine, and then lay your weight back on them. So the balls are pretty close to the inside of the body, so right nestled up to the spine. And the balls, especially if you have myofascial release, tennis or lacrosse, are big enough that the spine can just run between them. But if you are worried or if you feel any uncomfortable pressure, just bring them out a little bit, but maybe not any more than an inch or an inch and a half away from each other. And just feel this ropey muscle, the erectors, gently releasing from the compression as you just have to stay here and breathe. And taking nice, deep, relaxing breaths. If you feel safe in your space, maybe even closing the eyes or just softening the gaze so you can really bring that awareness to the body and how this sensation feels for you. And we're just going to move the balls more towards the outside edges. So again, just press the feet to lift your hips and slide the balls out just an inch or two in either direction. So they're more towards the outside edges of the lumbar spine, but you're still in that natural curvature of the low back. Now you may not feel a whole lot of sensation here, and that's okay. We're going to add a little bit. So it might be helpful to take your block with you. So I've got my block in my right hand. Let your right knee come all the way open towards the right. And if the knee doesn't find the floor, that's where placing the block underneath the knee can be nice, because you can just let the leg relax. Once you have your right leg set up, let your left knee kind of just follow suit. So all of your weight is leaning over towards the right. And maybe even so much so that there's nothing touching that left ball anymore, but you feel that a nice release through the side on the right. And again, all we have to do here is just stay still and breathe. Allowing your body to relax, even softening through the fingers and the toes. Letting all of the effort go and just allowing the props to do the job for you. And hopefully just feeling tension within the body dissolving a little bit with every breath. So this practice is really helpful to do after a workout or anytime you're feeling just actual stress or tension from work. It's also really nice to do right before bed, as it just kind of prepares the body to start to dial in and get ready for rest. Take a couple more deep breaths here. And remove the ball from the left side if your body was even touching it. And lift your right leg so you can remove the ball underneath the right side. But keep the ball from the right side in your hand. We're going to come to lay all the way on the right side. So you're coming into a side lying position. Now here's where your blanket or your towel might be handy. We'll place that underneath the head. So we're giving that cervical spine that support. Now it might feel really nice too to kind of bring a block between the knees, as it just finds a little bit more levelness through the hips. If that doesn't feel good, feel free to leave the block out and just have your knees stacked as well. But have your knees somewhat in line with the hips, or even closer towards being in line with the belly button, so it's really relaxed here. Once you're laying completely on your right side, take this myofascial release ball in the left hand. Make a little bit of space in between the back teeth, and you're just going to gently kind of rest the ball right there at the back of the jaw in between the back teeth. Now, instead of letting the elbow drape towards the floor and using your muscles to hold the arm up, I'm going to invite you to extend your elbow up towards the ceiling. So you actually have this skeletal structural alignment to support you. And then let your fingertips just kind of rest there on the temple of your head. So it almost feels effortless to hold the arm up. Now, as we release here through the jaw, it might feel really nice just to stay still with this bit of space between the back teeth as the ball kind of nestles in, and then the weight of the hand and the forearm and the ball are giving us a little bit of feedback or pressure. If you need a little bit more, though, it might be nice just to kind of lower and lift the lower jaw, so we're just kind of massaging in the jaw. Or one of my favorites is to use the thumb and just kind of rock the ball up and down or side to side, just massaging right there in the jaw. So many of us tend to hold tension in the jaw or clench the teeth when we're stressed, and then we don't give it a whole lot of release. So if that resonates with you, this might be something really nice to come back to on times you are feeling really stressed or needing to release some tension. And just keep taking those nice deep breaths. And then slowly release, set the ball off towards the side. And we're just going to open up into a supine twist. So taking this left arm and opening it up behind you as the chest opens towards the sky. And just finding this gentle release and twist throughout the entire spine. And your gaze can stay towards the knees. You can look up towards the sky, or even turn the whole head and rotate through the cervical spine if you bring your gaze to the left hand back behind you. Just take a couple of deep breaths here in this restorative twist. And then slowly remove your props. Take the block out from between the knees if you had that. Remove the blanket and come back to laying flat onto your back with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. And we're going to start from where we began. So again, we're going to place the balls pretty close to each other, maybe just half an inch or an inch apart, right in that ropey erector region. So bridging up through the hips or lifting the hips so you can place the balls right there in that natural curvature of the low back, and then lowering the hips back towards the floor. And take just a couple of breaths here. Hopefully starting to feel a little less tense and a little bit more introspective, or having that inner awareness. Feeling stress dissipate, the body restoring. And take one more breath here. And then just like we did before, we're going to take the balls a couple more inches away from each other. So moving more towards the outside of the low back. Now, this time we'll go to the left. So if you know that you might like a block on the outside of the left knee, go ahead and take that block in the left hand. Let your left knee open as much as it can towards the left side, and then bring the block to meet your knee and where it's at. Once your left leg is connected either with the ground or with the block, let your right leg just kind of lean towards the left as well. So you feel the majority of the weight now on that left ball. And again, just take a couple of deep breaths here. And again, soften through the forehead, through the jaw, the hands and the feet. Trying to soften every aspect of the body. And then remove the ball from underneath the right side. And then lift the left leg just enough that you can remove the ball from the left and come to lay on your left side. I'm going to turn all the way around so I have my back to you, but you just follow the natural line of the body over towards the left. Might be nice again to have that blanket or towel underneath the side of the left head. And maybe you've got that block in between the knees as well. Once you're laying on your side and you feel pretty comfortable, take the ball in the right hand, create a little bit of space between the back teeth and let the ball kind of just nestle there. And again, rather than letting the elbow cave in and having to muscularly support yourself there, let's find that skeletal alignment with the elbow stacking up. So you've got the forearm resting right there in the shoulder. And then if it feels nice, you might just extend your fingertips to rest on the temple. Take a moment just to kind of get into that position. And maybe you stay completely still, or it might be nice maybe just to open and close the bottom jaw. Or maybe just use your thumb to kind of move the ball up and down or side to side, just to massage this whole jaw region. And take these nice deep breaths. And then slowly start to let that go. Set the ball off onto the floor and then just gently open into that supine twist as you reach your right arm back behind you. And again, feel free to set yourself up in any way that feels really supportive. You can move the block if you like. You can have the head rotated, whatever orientation feels the most inviting. I invite you just to listen to your body and adjust accordingly so it feels really restorative, really helpful and nourishing. And then slowly remove whatever prop you may have had between the knees or outside the knees. Come back to laying on your left side, bringing your right hand in front of your chest, and use your right hand to gently push yourself up to come into a seated position. Once you're seated, maybe roll the shoulders a couple of times. Maybe half circle through the neck might feel really nice. But just take a moment to notice how you feel now versus when you first arrived on your mat. Hopefully a little less tense and a little bit more restored through body and mind. Thank you so much for sharing your practice time with me. And until next time, be well.